Okay, guys, hi. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, Flowers and Showers. I wanted to originally talk about this is my cat right here. You know, there's always animals around. I wanted to originally go from trees into the archetypal elements. And then I thought about it and I was like, I really need to address seeds. Because obviously we're just talking about trees, and so from seeds to trees, from trees to seeds, I feel like is a pretty good not transition, but like a tie-in. They definitely go together. They're both very important to literature, to the Bible, to archetypes, to life, to nature. Remember, this is all signs that we see out in daily life, out in nature. And so when we're thinking about seeds, and I mean any type of apparatus for growth, so that means you could consider like an embryo a seed for a human. You can consider an apple seed or an orange seed. You can consider anything from which something grows. And it's always going to be, it's this really interesting thing, like the phoenix. And I actually have a little phoenix right here. Sorry to get close to you there, but little phoenix. So cute. But it's this sort of contronym idea, and I won't say oxymoronic idea, of life and death, right? So you always have this life and this death aspect in a seed, which I think is so fascinating, because a seed, any seed, has the ability to germinate or generate new life. But it also has to die to what it is in order to become what it's got to be, right? So when you have a little peach pit, Joyce Meyer talks about this a lot, which I think is really cool. Her lesson is more about seeds in the ground and how they have to break forth, but it's still very relevant. It's this idea that a seed in it has the DNA to create a peach tree, talking about a peach pit, but it has to die to being a seed in order to become a tree. So seeds are always going to be symbolic of life, but also of death. The phoenix is the same thing. It's this idea that it is reborn from its own ashes and then it turns into the ash again. So it's going to represent seeds. I mean, yes, the phoenix, but seeds are going to represent a life cycle, which, and this is why I think it's such a cool idea, trees also do, right? We talked last week about the trees in spring, summer, fall, winter. They have their own life cycle. It mirrors our human life cycle. Well, in the tree, this big old tree, from this little tiny seed, the seed mirrors what the tree like phases do, which I think is so fun. I know, I'm like a lit nerd, so like, of course I think it's fun, but I think it's really fun. So the first thing is that seeds are going to be symbolic of life and death. If you see a seed in literature, don't wonder. So that's one. Two, because it's symbolic of life and death, it's also going to be symbolic of rebirth and new life and progeny and procreation, right? All of these things that bring new things into existence, but also there's a longevity to it. Like, what seeds do you want to leave to replenish or repopulate? When a tree dies, it drops its seeds, and then new trees can form or bloom or blossom. So it's going to be symbolic of reproduction as well. So a seed is super, super important as a concept or a construct. Additionally, when we're talking about seeds, they're going to be life and death. They're going to be potential. They're going to be progeny. They're going to be your legacy, right? What you're leaving, what's left behind to form something new. But they're also going to be knowledge. Seeds are little knowledge drops. We get that a lot from the Bible. We get that a lot from a lot of places, but the Bible specifically with the parable of the sower, if you're familiar with it, it's Matthew. It's in all the Gospels. And it's this idea that there's a man who's sowing good seed, and some of the good seed falls on not great ground, and some of it falls on rocky soil, and some of it falls on fertile soil, and the seeds are the knowledge, and the soil is the mind of whomever, right? So someone who has a receptive mind or a ready mind or a readily believing mind is going to be more along the lines of the fertile soil. The seeds, the knowledge, drop into the fertile soil. In life, but metaphorically as well. Rocky ground is going to be a mind that's disbelieving. Shallow ground is going to be a shallow mind, whatever. Fine. So seeds also function in this idea of knowledge. If you've ever heard like seeds of doubt were planted, right? It's this idea that little tiny drops. I feel like Stifler. But if you know that reference, obviously you're as dated as I am, but it's fine. Seeds are going to be symbolic of something that can take root, something that can blossom. And so if it's a seed of doubt, it's not necessarily a good thing. Doubt is not a good thing to have, ever, right? So there's a wide gamut of what it is that seeds can represent. And again, because we're talking about things in nature that can be seen as signs, what is a seed symbolic of or a sign of for us? Well, obviously it's symbolic of all those things I just talked about. I think that as humans, we are very interested in what we can leave behind. I think we all know, as I talked about last week, that life is really finite and we only have 100 years, give or take. But when we have a seed, we have the ability to leave something, to pass something on. So when we die, something can live on, right? That's the whole life and death thing, the legacy thing. And in a way, the seed you leave behind, whatever it is, gives you a sort of level of immortality in a very mortal realm. Like, we're very mortal, right? We are all very, very, if you're putting me against a bear, I'm not going to win, more than likely. Maybe if I have a tool, but even still, I'll probably shoot myself before I shoot the bear because I don't want to kill anything. So I'm definitely dead. We're mortal. We're easily killable. And so we like the idea of having something that can be reminiscent of our time here for other people. And, it used to be like men wanted to leave something to their sons. And now I think thinking about seeds is a really good call to what's your legacy? What are you leaving? At the very least, I think we can all leave a legacy of kindness, where we're not judging people. We're not so quick to be negative. We're not so quick to critique or comment hurtful things about people we don't know or situations we don't understand. I think that's a great, if you leave no other legacy, I say leave a kindness legacy. Leave a seed of kindness wherever you go, right? That's my call to action. That's my hope for you. That's my mission for you and for me. Obviously, I'm always trying to leave a seed of kindness. I think a lot of times it's easier to leave seeds in places we don't frequent often. That makes any sense? I think it's harder to have a seed of kindness in your own home. For me, I know it is. I am not nearly as kind to my significant other as I am sometimes to a stranger on the street. So I think when we see, and we don't think a lot about seeds. Things like this become really commonplace to us. We don't think about the sun, we don't think about the moon, we don't think about the stars, we don't think about the trees unless they're changing. Seeds, I think we think of even less. We eat a fruit and we just cut out the seeds. Like when I have an apple core and I push down on that thing, the seeds are the thing I'm bye. And I don't think about the idea that I just threw out, I don't even know how many apple trees. I don't know who said the quote. It wasn't me. The quote is, in an apple, there are maybe 5-10 seeds, but in a seed, there are so many apple trees, right? Every seed has the ability to be a whole bunch of apple trees. And I think that's such a fun idea. And that, what I'm trying to call to action is that idea of, when you see a seed, when you plant something, that you start to think about yourself. What do you leave? What can you bring to life after you're gone? For a lot of us, it's kids. Every woman and every man has the ability, when put together, to make a new seed, like quite literally. In the Bible, it talks so much about seeds, like the seed of Israel, right? The seed of Judah, in Isaac's seed, or in Jacob's seed, Israel's called, or something. I don't know. Stella. That idea that your sons are your legacy, that's not new. That's not new to us. As humans, we're very accustomed to that idea of leaving, little cat tail, of leaving a animal legacy. No, stop it, animal legacy. I'm leaving an animal legacy because I do not want to have kids ever. But many people want to leave a human legacy. Their name passes on, right? And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Every society will tell you everything's right with that. There are other people, of course, who want to leave a different legacy. Maybe a book, or a music, or movies, or art, or all types of things that get passed on. This cat. We put up our Christmas decorations today, and the cats have been crazy and all over them, so I think she feels bad now. Anyway, so long and short, when we're talking about, so you can see here, when we're talking about seeds, we want to think about what we're leaving. And yeah, that's kind of my message for you today. It wasn't supposed to be my message, because I think that people have talked about this before. I don't think I'm bringing anything new to the table, but I just kind of realized that if I'm talking about trees and phases and cycles of life, you have to talk about the seed too, because from that death of a tree brings the new life of a seed. And I think we don't think about that a lot, or enough, or at all sometimes. But with that said, like I said, just a short message today, because I didn't actually plan on bringing this one to you. And I'll see you here next week, back to the scheduled stations and stuff that I wanted to actually talk about. So I hope you enjoyed that one. That'll be our message for the week, and we will talk more about it.